Welcome to the Sultan Chronicles. We're going to talk about hunting ghosts and demons. This is going to be a fictional series, or is it? When you are going on a ghost hunt, there are several things that you need to take. First thing, you need patience. Ghost hunting is a lot like fishing. You need patience because you won't always see results right away. On some investigations, you'll find paranormal activity. On others, you won't. Sometimes what you thought was paranormal can be explained by natural causes. But be patient and understand that you may need to visit a haunted location several times before you experience anything paranormal. Number 2, you need plenty of flashlights, plenty of lights, not just one, and extra batteries. You don't want your light source dying on you in the middle of an investigation, or if you are in the 3rd floor of an old house. Excuse me. A lot of orbs floating around in here tonight. Number 3, you need an audio recorder, hopefully a digital one. It's a tool that I always take with me if you plan to capture any type of EVPs or record sounds. A digital audio recorder is a must-have tool. Number 4, you need to take your ID. Always have identification on you. Always. Just in case you're stopped by police or local law enforcement. Or if they find your body, they need to identify the body, even if it doesn't have a head. At least that driver's license, at least that driver's license will help them identify the headless corpse. Number 5, you need a logbook. Always log every event that seems out of the ordinary. Doors that lock, electrical problems, swaying, chandeliers, strange lights. Videotape everything for proof. That's always important. Assign someone in your group to be the secretary to record all of the details of the investigation, of the hunt for ghosts or demons. The details to record include who is participating in the hunt, changes in temperature, weather, location, date and time of any happenings that may take place, including who witnessed them. Be sure to walk through the site beforehand to record your thoughts and feelings that you or any of your team members may be getting from that particular site. Record the feelings. If you feel a presence, that needs to be written down, documented. I find it is often easier to keep an audio logbook instead of a written log, although the two can be used together. You will need an EMF meter, which is electromagnetic field meter. An EMF meter measures electromagnetic radiation. And can be a very useful tool. Usually areas of paranormal activity produce strong electromagnetic fields and have high EMF readings. Be careful, though. EMF meters can produce false positives Man-made electrical sources, such as power lines, appliances, cell phones, fuse boxes, they give off very strong EMF readings. So before assuming that there's paranormal activity, check to see if the cause could be a man-made electrical source. One strong indication of paranormal activity is EMFs that move. The background EMF needs to remain constant in order to locate such fields. For instance, I have 2 EMF meters, and I will hold them out like this, and I turn like this. There's times when you encounter the electromagnetic fields and both will go off. Then there's times where 1 meter will go off, this one will not. And then this goes off, and then this one goes on, as if the presence is walking by you. And then you know what direction it's going in. Pardon me. Sometimes Van Helsing has a stuffy nose. Usually the EMFs will either move away from you or follow you. In one case, I was able to follow a moving EMF through 3 floors of a building. Number 7, you need to bring a camera. Bring either a digital camera or a 35mm camera. If you're using a 35mm camera, bring several fresh rolls of high-speed film. For best results, use 400 speed film or higher. If you use a digital camera, use the highest resolution and make sure the memory stick is empty or has enough storage capacity. Super important. Number 8, video camera. Always use clean, new discs for your camcorder or new storage. I don't know if your camcorder uses the small discs or the larger ones. Always have extra. Always. If you are filming a designated room or an area, always place the video camera on a tripod for stability and ease of use. 9, always bring snacks and drinks with you. Make sure you pack plenty of food and drink. This may seem trivial, but many a ghost hunt has ended because of lack of food. Sometimes it's difficult to predict how long an investigation will take, so come prepared. And number 10, before I read a story to you, an open mind. You need to bring an open mind on a ghost hunt. Investigate each location with a positive attitude, an open mind, and a healthy dose of skepticism. Try to recreate all reported paranormal events and eliminate any natural explanations before reaching a final conclusion. A couple other tips. Arrive early at the location with your necessary ghost hunting equipment. Give yourself plenty of time to set things up. Super important. You're not arriving at night. It's better to arrive during daylight and leave during daylight. It could be the longest night of your life. Wear sneakers and warm, comfortable clothing. Make sure you have extra pockets. If you need extra pockets, you can buy a fisherman's vest, which I have found helpful. You can get them at Walmart and places like that for about $15. They're lightweight, they fit over bulky sweatshirts, and they provide lots of pockets to store batteries, audio recorders, cameras. They have clips for flashlights. I will never forget the first time I went on a ghost hunt or ghost detecting session. I would leave the house at 10:30 at night and walk around the town. Everyone was sleeping. Many times I would go right before midnight, and I would go through a tunnel and walk through a tunnel. And at one end of the tunnel, there was one ghostly shadow 2, 3, 4 people lined up across the tunnel, walking towards me. I could see their arms. I could see they were wearing some kind of hat, coming right towards me. I held up my camera, took pictures. They walked right through me. I turned around, and they were walking away from me. I got pictures of it. I got pictures. One night I was walking with the video camera and walking down an alley. I used to live in a town that had alleys. And at the beginning of an alley, I had heard something. And I panned. I wanted the camera to see what I was looking at. So the camera was going with my eyes. And as I went like this, there was a very clear figure. And I felt the wind, like if you're just kind of like going whoosh. I felt as if somebody was walking by me real fast. And I heard it go from the right to the left. I got home, I uploaded to my PC. I messed around with the contrast. And I saw a figure, literally a figure. Excuse me. Van Helsing is very, very sneezy tonight. And I saw a figure walk right by me. And I got it on camera, and I still have it to this day. This was 10 years ago. Let's read a story. Turn up the light a little bit here. One morning, John Sullivan found himself, L from Utah, thank you very much. One morning, John Sullivan found himself walking along a street downtown. He could not explain what he was doing there or how he got there or where he had been earlier. He didn't even know what time it was. He saw a woman walking toward him and stopped her. "I'm afraid I forgot my watch," he said and smiled. "Can you tell me the time?" When she saw him, she screamed, and she ran. Then John Sullivan noticed that other people were afraid of him. When they saw him coming, they flattened themselves against the building or ran across the street to stay out of his way. There must be something wrong with me, he thought. I better go home. He hailed a taxi, but the driver took one look at him and sped away. John Sullivan did not understand what was going on, and it scared him. Maybe somebody at home can come and get me, he thought. He found a telephone and called his wife, but a voice that he did not recognize answered the phone. "Is Mrs. Sullivan there?" he asked. "No, she's at a funeral," the voice said. "Mr. Sullivan was killed yesterday in an accident downtown." Have you ever run into a Mr. Sullivan? Fred and Jean went to the same high school, but they met for the first time at the Chinese restaurant. Fred had come by himself, and so had Jean. Soon Fred decided that Jean was one of the nicest girls he ever met. They went out after the restaurant. They danced together most of the evening. At 11 o'clock, Jean said, "I have to leave now. Can you give me a ride?" "Sure," he said. "I've got to go home, too. I accidentally drove my car into a tree on the way over here," Jean said. "I guess I won't I guess I wasn't paying attention. Fred drove her to the head of Brady Road. It was in a neighborhood he didn't know very well. Why don't you drop me off here? The road up ahead is in really bad condition. I could walk from here. Fred stopped the car and he said, Here, have some tinsel. I got it at the dance. Thank you. I'll put it in my hair. And she did. Would you like to go out sometime to a movie or something? That would be fun, she said. After Fred drove off, he realized he did not know Jean's last name or telephone number. I'll go back. The road can't be that bad. He drove slowly down Brady Road through a thick woods, but there wasn't a sign of Jean. As he came around a curve, he saw the wreckage of a car ahead. It had crashed into a tree and caught fire. Smoke was still rising from it. As Fred made his way to the car, he could see someone trapped inside, crushed against the steering wheel. It was Jean, and in her hair was the Christmas tinsel he had given her. And the last one for the night. Ida always went to the 7 o'clock Sunday morning service at her church. Usually she heard the clanging of church bells while she was eating breakfast, but this morning she heard them while she was still in bed. That means I'm late, she thought. Ida jumped quickly out of bed. She got dressed and left without eating or looking at the clock. It was still dark outside, but it's usually dark at this time of year. Ida was the only one on the street. The only sounds she heard were the clatter of her shoes on the pavement. Everybody must be in church already. She took a shortcut through the cemetery, then she quietly slipped into the church and found a seat. The service had begun. When she caught her breath, she looked around. The church was filled with people she had never seen before, but the woman next to her did look familiar. Ida smiled. It's Josephine Kerr, she thought. But she's dead. She died a month ago. Suddenly, Ida felt very uneasy. She looked around again. As her eyes began to adjust to the dim light, Ida saw some skeletons in suits and dresses. This is a service for the dead, Ida thought. Everybody here is dead except me. Ida noticed that some of them were staring at her, and they looked angry, as if she had no business there. Josephine Kerr leaned toward her and whispered, "Leave right after the benediction if you care for your life." When the service came to an end, the minister gave his blessing. "The Lord bless you and keep you." He said, "The Lord make his face to shine upon you." Ida grabbed her coat and walked quickly towards the door. When she heard footsteps behind her, she glanced back. Several of the dead were coming toward her. Others were getting up to join them. "The Lord lift up his countenance upon you," the minister went on. Ida was so frightened she began to run. Out the door she ran with a pack of shrieking ghosts at her heels. "Get out," one of them screamed. Another shouted, "You don't belong here," and ripped her coat away. As Ida ran through the cemetery, a third grabbed the hat from her head. "Don't come back," it screamed, and it shook its arm at her. By the time Ida reached the street, the sun was rising and the dead had disappeared. Did this really happen? Or have I been dreaming? That afternoon, one of Ida's friends brought over her coat and hat, or what was left of them. They had been found in the cemetery, torn to shreds. We might be doing this on Monday nights. The Sultan Chronicles. Fictional stories about ghosts, demons, terror, horror, mystery. Fictional, or is it?